Welcome back to the Afternoon Snack Podcast. I'm Meredith here with Alex and Ivy in a cone. We're coming to you live from the floor of our office. Why are we sitting on the floor?
Well, we bought a house and we got possession of it on Friday. And because I can't wait to move in, which is going to be happening on the 18th or 19th officially, we're going to get like a truck and everything. And I figure like why not start moving stuff ourselves?
So you took all of our office.
Yeah.
Like no desks, no chairs. I was like looking for a spare towel yesterday and she's like, oh, you're going to have a hard time finding those towels. I was like, why did you take that? Like of all things to move early.
Because we never use the spare towels.
Until we need the spare
towel.
Isn't
that the way it always is?
Yeah. Or until like it would be nice to have a chair to sit in.
Yeah.
But here I am sitting on a pillow. What do you have there? A blanket?
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's cool. I think we'll have like a dedicated like podcast space, which will be kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like a upper office and then the lower office. And right now the reason we're waiting to move in is because so it's got a basement, but the basement was totally unfinished. And it's sweet because the ceilings are higher than what we have now in our rental. So we're getting it we're getting it built out. So not completely finished. It's getting drywall, paint, and then we're going to leave the ceiling exposed and spray that, like paint it. So it's like it's finished, but not. We retain the ceiling height. It's going to be cool. It's going to be a really neat gym space and bigger than what we have. So that's in the works. It's ongoing. What else? Ivy, the big update in our lives besides the house was kind of, I'll never forget the closing day. People are like, oh, you'll never forget your first day as a homeowner. And I'm like, damn right, because that was also the day we had to rush Ivy in for emergency string removal surgery. So the closing day is a little bit, I'm not going to say tainted. It's a memorable story for that reason too.
She ate the string on Wednesday night.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how it went. So on last Sunday, we went to like a local meat market here and we bought a bunch of different like meats for the week. And one of the things we bought, Meredith was making for dinner on Wednesday night. It was like pork cutlets, which were actually not very tasty. No offense to you. They just were lean and we didn't do it up with, I think, the right amount of oil.
We were also very distracted.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm sitting on the couch. Meredith is preparing this meat. So she unties. When you go to a butcher, they use like butcher's yarn.
It's just twine.
Okay, it's twine.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like a gray, very coarse.
Yeah.
No, it's brown.
Well, it's the same twine you use to like truss up poultry. It's cooking twine.
So they use that to like package up the meat. And I see Meredith, like, Ivy's very interested in the string. And I see Meredith, like, proceeding to kind of, like, play with, like, dangle it to Ivy. And then I saw her, like, tying it onto the utensil drawer knob. And I look over, I'm like, hey, like, what are you doing with that string? As in, like, get that string away from Ivy. Like, every cat owner, it's like cat owning 101. Don't leave string with the cat. Meredith, I'm just tying it here so Ivy can play with it. Mm-hmm. And I think you said something like, I'm going to keep an eye on her. So I like go upstairs for a few minutes to do something. Probably come down like 3 or 5 minutes later. And Meredith like wide-eyed and like staring at me. And she's like, did you move that string? And I was like, no. Like looking at her like, you better not have.
To this point, like Alex is upstairs and like, the amount of panic in my body is hard to describe. Because, like, what happened was I tied it up. I went to the bathroom, like, to pee. Super short trip. I didn't even have... My phone was plugged up upstairs. I wasn't, like, on Instagram wasting time or anything. Come back out, like, literally 30 seconds later. And the string was gone. And Ivy was just sitting there kind of, like, looking at me. And I was like, okay, don't panic. it probably fell into the drawer because I was like opening to get like cooking utensils. I was like, it probably got caught, probably fell in the drawer. I flipped the entire kitchen and I was like, I had to do it quietly because I don't want to alarm Alex because I know I'm going to find this string and I don't want to have to explain it. So I'm just going to find it and we're going to pretend like this never happened. Well, needless to say, I couldn't find the string. And it's because our dear old darling Ivy cat ate it in about 30 seconds.
And I'm like, well, the cat probably ate it. And you exclaimed, the cat that never eats anything. And I'm like, all right, so we have like a little dangling toy. It's like it's a little pole, and then it's like a fleece string, but it's attached to like a pole, and we dangle it in front of her. It's like a rainbow, like
it's called it's a teaser toy.
A teaser toy, and she will try to swallow that toy.
She's done it a couple of times.
She's consumed like half a foot, and then you kind of have to like pull it away from her, but she gets it down there.
The 8 inches on the end are like crusty with cat mucus.
Yeah. So, like, we know that Ivy has she has a propensity to eat string.
Or anything.
Like,
she doesn't do it often, but she will do it. But
also, as a kitten, she puked up one of her crinkle balls. Like, so she likes eating her crinks. We know that.
Anyway, she's only done it once.
So then she was fine on Wednesday. We called the vet, and, like,
well, hang on. I'm not done with the Wednesday part of the story.
Oh.
I tied like a slip knot. So like in theory, when you pull on the string, the knot gets tighter. So the only thing I can figure is she must have like reached way up at the actual knob and like hooked her claw in the slip knot portion of it and pulled it out. It's just
Did she see you tie the knot? Because then she would have known how to untie it.
Yeah, she must have.
She probably was like, that's a damn slip knot. I know how to untie that.
Like, I'll show her. She thinks I'm a big dummy. But anyways, so that was it. And then Thursday, so we called emergency vet, reached out to some vet friends on Wednesday night. Called emergency. They said just monitor her. So on Thursday, this is the day after it happened, we called her vet. And they said, yeah, definitely bring her in and we'll like we'll do an exam and take an x-ray to see if there's any like twisting up in the intestines, if it's passed through. Her exam was perfect. She was acting totally normal, playful, relaxed. So we're like, okay. And like the day went on and we kept hearing more and more stories about people's cats who'd done this, right? And eaten string or shoelaces, and everyone kind of had the same story. And it's like, oh, get ready to like start snipping string out of her butthole, which I was like, that's kind of gross, but I can do that for sure.
It's like every person that we talked to who isn't an expert in like animal medicine was like, oh, haha, she'll be fine. Mm-hmm. And then every vet that we talked to was like, okay, you need to be concerned.
Well, I was starting to think the vet might be biased because they only see cats and dogs who come in needing surgery or whatever.
So anyways, on Thursday, we were like, what, did she poo on Friday? No, Thursday, because I was in the basement.
Yeah, it was Thursday.
So on Thursday, we were like watching close eye for the string to come out. And like, this was a pretty significantly long piece of string, like at least 18 inches to 2 feet. Mm-hmm. And so we're like, it's going to start coming out. Like, I doubt it's going to come out in a big clump because it's like a pretty big clump. So on Thursday, we're on like poop watch. She's acting completely normal. I'm sitting on the couch. All of a sudden, she comes screaming out of her litter box, straight down into the basement.
Like, runs into the wall and then hard left into the basement.
We're like, that is for sure a cat that just pooped. So we go and investigate, and Meredith's like digging through.
I was like, did she just do this?
There was
like,
a couple little turds.
But they were like, she had buried them, so I couldn't tell if they were old or not. So I kind of scooped them out to examine them. And I was like, well, I don't know if she just did this if they were like in the litter box. So then I would like put them down. I would touch them, and I was like, oh, they're warm. This is like she just did this.
And then I go down to the basement to work out like a couple hours later, and sure enough, there's like Ivy was all freaked out. I guess that's why she ran to the basement, because she still had like a turd attached. So there was a turd in the basement.
But it was just like a hair, like it wasn't the string.
No, there was cat hair in it, but no string. So we're like, okay, it's kind of weird that she would have a turd attached to her butthole, which doesn't usually happen.
Yeah, it's like, I don't think it's ever happened.
But like no sign of the string. So like already we're a little suspicious. And then on Friday, she was not eating.
Yeah. Friday's when she kind of took a turn. So she was acting kind of weird, not eating, drank a little bit. And then what we were instructed to watch for was like gagging, like make sure if she's like if she throws up, like that's kind of a sign to bring her in.
So we're sitting on the couch. It was like probably 9 a.m. And she hasn't gone to the washroom yet or anything. And all of a sudden she starts like gagging, like she's going to throw up. Sure enough, she pukes up like 2 quite large masses.
I was like, what?
So we were kind of like
that?
excited.
Yeah.
And they were like grayish. And so Meredith walks over and like examines them and then like looks up at me with like her mouth gaping open. She's like, 2 crinkle balls.
She'd eaten two of her crinkle balls. They were like crinkle ball torpedoes. She must have eaten them like, I assume earlier in the morning because her stomach was feeling kind of bad and she didn't have access to like grass or something. But I was like, what?
Yeah, which
the
was
hell?
one of my vet clients who I was talking to was telling me like, okay, it's probably a good idea to bring her in. But then she started kind of puking a little more. And then the vet's like, you should probably bring her in. So we brought her in and sure enough, she needed surgery.
Yeah, the vet was like, it's kind of crazy. Like you can tell with the way that the vet was talking. Oh, she's in your lap. She's about to ball up. Oh, she wants to eat your pants string.
Okay.
Go figure. You could kind of tell by the way he was talking that he has to talk people into spending money on their animals when they need stuff like this. And he's like, you could try to wait, but you might run the risk of having to go to emergency over the weekend and that would cost more. And, it's the likelihood that her condition improves is pretty slim. And I was just like, just do it. Like, just let's go ahead and like, why would we wait? That makes no sense. So we did that.
Yeah. And then thankfully she did end up needing the surgery. Like, I guess there wasn't a chance that string was going to like unravel itself and go down her intestines and end up out the door without any major problems. So thankfully we did that. And she was like not in good shape on Friday or Saturday. And then she still hadn't pooped and we were concerned about her being like constipated.
Right. Because she's on like a morphine derivative.
Yeah. So like last night, right, like immediately before we were about to eat dinner, so like 6:30 or 7, I like hear Ivy digging around her litter box and we're both like super excited. So she leaves the litter box and I go over and I'm like, there's poo in here. And like Meredith comes over. I'm like, it looks kind of weird. It's like,
it was like dark.
Yeah, it was dark and it was kind of like, I mean, I don't know. It was just weird poo. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like her usual turds. And then I go back to sit on the couch and I'm like, I see Ivy like walking away from me. Like I see her butt and there's literally poo dripping down, like all down her butt.
She's like, oh, I think she has
her
poo
legs
on her butt. So I was thinking she's just like a straggler turd. No, this cat had straight up diarrhea.
Yeah.
So anyways, that was fun because we can't obviously give her a bath because she has stitches. So she kind of got a little bird bath. She was just like, we're kind of like holding her over the sink and she's just like yelling, like just please stop.
Poor thing.
So
she's been through a lot. And then we have to like force antibiotics down her throat twice a day. She hates it. Mm-hmm. But that's all right. She still loves us for some reason.
She's in your lap. Yeah. So that's the Ivy update. She's good. We're doing okay. We're on the mend.
It was a crazy few days.
Mm-hmm. But we got our cat back. We got our house. We have no furniture in our rental because Alex is impatient. Things are good. She's being really cute. Yeah, and then yesterday we blew up the internet with Jillian Michaels.
Yeah. So I think and then today we posted on our Instagram about, so we were talking at dinner last night about why someone like Jillian Michaels has the following that she has, like 1.4 million. And like, she's not the only one. Like there are tons of people out there who are considered experts in fitness and nutrition. And like they're spewing, and like, excuse my language, but like they're spewing bullshit. And people listen and people end up not getting anywhere, just like frustrated. It's just, it's tough because as much as like we have somewhat of a platform to fight back a little bit and set the cards straight. It's like our platform is tiny. Mm-hmm. Like even if we combine our personals and our business page, it's what, 100, not even 100,000. Yeah, she has 1.4 million. Yeah. And that's just one person.
Yeah.
So
It's like the whole, like the nutrition industry is frustrating. Like this is just kind of a frustrating industry to work in as like like a group of people who are evidence based and whatnot, because you're battling against so much of the misinformation that's out there. And like the thing that's frustrating about Jillian is like she had an opportunity to be a good person and role model and do things the right way, but like no doubt she recognized that there's not as much money in doing things that way. There's just not. So like she got famous doing what she did on Biggest Loser, like selling bullshit 7-minute total body workouts, like kind of, perpetuating and buying into and being a part of this super toxic diet culture that's out there. And the whole reason that exists is to keep people coming back and buying new like diets and nutrition programs and exercise programs, because like, there's something new that comes out every few months. And like, I looked up like the diet, like the weight loss diet market kind of thing. In the US alone is worth about $72 billion. $72 billion. And that's like, really most of that is selling people programs that don't work, and they're kind of like designed to not work. They're designed to hook you and have you like keep coming back or not educate you, because like the truth is like the basics of nutrition, which are the things that actually work, are not only super slow, they're super boring. So there's really no money in that. Like it's hard to sell the idea that like, yeah, you can be healthy and lose weight and be fit and have a body that you're proud of, but it's going to take you like 3 or 4 years. That's a hard thing for people to hear, when so much of our life is instantaneous. Things that we want, we can have instantly. Like if you live in the US and you have Amazon Prime, you can get 2-hour delivery on most things. Like we want things, we get things, and it happens like in an instant. So that's where people's heads are at. So how do you take someone who expects that and get them to be okay with the fact that like true success in health and fitness, especially if you are digging yourself out of a bit of a hole, is years of hard work. It's the antithesis of the way that we live in society.
Yeah. I was just looking at, to show some examples, some typical women's health magazine things. And it's just like this one, it says, look great naked, flat belly foods, fast toning moves, cellulite blasters. Mm-hmm. That's all fake. Mm-hmm. That doesn't, flat belly foods, does not exist.
No.
Like fast toning moves, cellulite blasters. I mean, I actually would love to see what the article says, but I can only imagine that it's just nothing.
Yeah. It's certainly not gonna work. Like, I mean, cellulite's genetic. We know that. Like the way that women store body fat is largely determined by genetics. Belly, like flattening foods, unless that's like, it probably says fruits and vegetables, lots of fiber, not a lot of processed foods. I would, like, if they're delivering any information other than that, then they're just making things up.
Yeah. It's crazy though. Like even people who follow us on Instagram and end up, reaching out for coaching, it's insane. I mean, you see just a great variety of misconceptions that are just, they're not even like people are misunderstood. It's like this knowledge, these beliefs are so ingrained. Mm-hmm. Like they cannot believe that like eating past 8 p.m. is okay. Or, like trying to explain why they've lost 2 pounds in one night. It's not fat loss. Like,
or gain 2 pounds overnight.
It's not, you didn't gain 2 pounds of fat. It's like they can't, it's so ingrained from like the last 30 years of seeing it on magazines and stuff, that they can't believe, like they can't get it out of their heads. It's like, no, it's fat. It has to be.
Yeah.
I feel fatter, that like I'm gaining weight, something's wrong. Like, and that's just like one example.
I was going to ask what are a couple of examples? Like what would you say is the most common like sort of diet culture carryover myth that you have to deal with on a regular basis?
Probably speed of weight loss.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big one. I mean, I say in most of my plans or coaching to people who want to lose weight, like we are looking for 0.5 to 1 pound per week.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not even going to be linear. Like you're not going to see like 1 pound every single week. It's going to be up and down, but over the course of 8 weeks, 6 to 10 pounds is great. That's really great.
What's crazy is if you take someone whose goal is primarily like fat loss or weight loss, and you say, like, what if I could give you, or what if we could work together and you could lose 52 pounds? They're probably like, oh my God, that sounds amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, all right, let's do that. We'll start today. And then this time next year, you'll have lost 52 pounds. And they're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Where like really when you take a big step back and you think about that, you think about what it would be like to, if you do need to or want to lose significant weight, what it would be like to be 52 pounds lighter, and then ask yourself if you're okay with the fact that process, in order to do that and retain it, that process is going to take a year.
Yeah.
And like most people would actually probably be okay with that. It's just, it's different than what you're used to seeing on magazine covers, because magazine covers will tell you that, yeah, lose 30 pounds in 30 days or something crazy like that. And maybe like, sure, you can do keto or low carb or whatever, and you will absolutely lose like 10 pounds in a month for sure. Easy. But like, that's water weight. It's probably going to come back. And even if it doesn't, you're going to lose that initial 10 pounds. And then you're going to be at a hard plateau on top of feeling like absolute like crap because you have no carbs in your life and you have no idea what to do next.
Like anybody can lose 30 pounds in 30 days. Just like, I mean, people on Survivor do it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
People like I could probably do it in 30 days. What's hard is keeping it off. And like what makes it easier to keep it off is to go at a sustainable pace and implement the habits that are required to keep it off. But so like you don't see on a magazine cover or on even the Today Show, like when they have their fitness gurus, like, yeah, like this is all about habits. It's about sleeping 8 hours. It's about this. Like they're on there like, oh, fat blasting recipes. Like there's no such thing as a fat blasting recipe. There's no such thing as like an arm toning workout.
You can't drink like green tea and lose belly fat.
No, like it's just, and I have read all of those articles. I was one who bought Women's Health because I was interested in like fitness and I was reading that stuff and like looking back, and not that I fell into the traps. It was just like something to read. It's every single week there's a new magazine that I see on the cover that says something that's just complete crap.
It's actually amazing that they can repackage that bullshit over and over and over again and people still buy it.
Yeah.
It's insane. But that's kind of what we're up against, and that's the industry sort of like as a whole, and even Weight Watchers, which I think is a pretty well-intended program. Like I think that they're a little less
they're a little less educational.
Yeah. So they're like, the issue with Weight Watchers, and it is probably by design, is that when you do it, maybe you do lose weight in a very sustainable way because it's like not a totally unintelligent program, but they're not telling you like this is why this is happening, because they want you to keep paying your $20, $30, $40 a month forever, because they want you to think, if I'm not on Weight Watchers or with Weight Watchers, then I'm going to gain it all back or I can't be successful. So like the education component is lacking in general in the nutrition industry, but certainly in programs like that, which are designed to keep you coming back. And it's like Weight Watchers now has, harness the science of intermittent fasting. And it's like, there's no science to intermittent fasting. Like you're just restricting calories in a different way.
Yeah.
So it's everywhere. It is everywhere. Trying to think of the most, like, I think one time I explained to someone, you don't gain, like, the weight, you don't gain in weight the food that you ate that day or the day before. Like, that's not how your body stores and uses the energy that's going into your mouth. It's kind of the repeated exposure to like a calorie surplus that leads, because like, you're like, if you're using energy in your body, you're going to be depleting glycogen stores and also like the free fatty acids that are in your blood. And so when you eat food, like carbs first go, they, like, your body's smart, right? It looks and says, where are we depleted? So if your glycogen stores are depleted and your free fatty acids are low, they go to restore that first. And then, like, now we're looking at storing adipose tissue. But unless you're eating, tons and tons of food, your energy, like the food that you're eating, is going to the right place. I think insulin gets a really bad, like, insulin's super misunderstood. That's the one I was trying to think of. So insulin, people think that insulin spikes are bad. Insulin spikes are bad because they make you fat. True or false?
False.
Why?
Well,
it's like, because they're like, it's a normal physiological process. There is and you know that, like, there is a situation where elevated insulin's bad.
mm-hmm.
And it's in people who are diabetic or pre-diabetic, because your body's just not responding. Like, if insulin can't do its job, like, insulin's job is to lower blood
like in
glucose.
a healthy person, it doesn't make you fat. But when you get to a certain point, it is bad.
Mm-hmm. Because your body, if you're not responding to glucose or to insulin, if you're resistant, then, like, now your pancreas is having to produce more and more and more and more and more to get you to get your body to respond and to actually do something with blood sugar. And then you end up in a situation where you're tapped out on producing insulin and your blood sugar isn't going down. And now you have diabetes. That's diabetes.
Yep.
But in people who are not overweight, healthy, or otherwise healthy, like, anything that you eat is going to cause your insulin to elevate, because insulin is a transporter molecule. It's literally meant to move things around. It moves glucose around, it moves proteins around. Like, it's sort of like the mailman in your body. And but you can, like, even there are supplements that are marketed, and, like, even in the CrossFit space, I saw this one the other day. Noah Olson he's with some supplement company that's sort of brand new, and they have a recovery protein product that's just it's protein and carbs. It's like kind of like Nova 3's product. And I was like, well, that's kind of cool. I was reading about it because, like, Noah's with it, and the packaging's really neat, and I was just, like, very hooked on that. I just wanted to see what it was about, and they're talking about the protein, which is super high quality, and that's great. And then they're talking about the carbs, and they're like, we selected this kind of carb because it's very low glycemic index. It's not going to spike your insulin. And I'm like, well, hold up. The whole point of putting carbs in your post-workout shake is to spike your insulin. It's to raise your insulin so that all that protein you just took in addition to the carbs, can go back to your muscles, can go back to restoring glycogen. Like,
yeah, but imagine on the packaging it said, this carb will spike your insulin better than any other carb. People will read that and be like, I don't want that.
I know, but it's like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Like, just leave it off the package. Like, you just put something that's completely false and very misleading
to sell
your product.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I mean, Noah probably doesn't know any better. And I've seen other people post, like, I'm not going to name drop, but, like, people in this area and other athletes who post recovery products, and even, like, they say, like, oh, it's not going to spike your insulin. And I'm like, come on.
Well, it's no different than Rhonda Patrick posting about doing that whole thing on grapes.
Oh,
and
yeah, she was so in the weeds.
It's so. Like, I mean, yeah, she's got the science behind it, but I'm sure everyone has heard, oh yeah, carrots have a high glycemic index, or beets or carrots. It's like, oh yeah, you shouldn't eat carrots. Like, okay, look, if you care about the problem is not carrots or beets or grapes. Like, it's just not.
Yeah.
Like
maybe if you're Rhonda Patrick and you have everything else in your life dialed down like that, she is going to live until she's 200 years old. Maybe if you're that person, you can worry about grapes.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure she was on just like a regular old podcast that, like, people who want to be interested in health are listening to.
And everybody's like, the grapes.
Yeah. Meredith doesn't like grapes because they make her toot.
I used to love grapes. I used to love white grapes. I didn't eat them for a while. And then I think your mom dropped off like a bunch of, are you uncomfortable?
No, I'm just becoming more comfortable.
Okay. Cause like a chair and a desk would be better than, all right. So yeah, Alex's mom dropped off a bunch of grapes or something. And I don't eat grapes, like, but I do like them. So I was like, oh, perfect. I'll just munch on these. So we were like, it was like a Sunday afternoon. We were getting ready to go over to their place for dinner. And I probably ate like, I don't know, a cup and a half of grapes. I kind of used them for my post-workout carb because I was like, they're there and they're easy. And we were driving to your parents and I was like, I'm going to die. Like my stomach hurts so bad. Like this is going to kill me. I didn't know, like the only thing I could figure was it was the grapes.
I think it is sometimes higher sugar fruits can cause distress.
I guess the grapes
it can happen with watermelon too.
Mm-hmm. I guess grapes have like a higher concentration of fructose.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was awful. Like I was like, I think I need to lay down. Like I really wish that I could like toot right now because I feel like Violet in Willy Wonka. Like that's how I feel right now, that my insides are going to burst.
But back to the topic. I had somebody who is trying to lose some body fat, and we were working on getting her to limit the amount of alcohol she was drinking on the weekends and kind of getting her to track a little bit more on the weekends. Just like moving her towards more of a consistent weekend similar to her weekdays, because she was basically blowing her calorie deficit with alcohol on the weekends, which is very common. And, you know, she would say, well, I kind of eat the same thing on the weekends, but like I do drink. And I was like, okay, like that is a lot of calories. So let's try the thing. And then she kind of came to me one day just extremely frustrated. She's like, well, I don't know. I'm not losing any weight. Like, you know, after several conversations about this alcohol problem, not an alcohol problem, just the alcohol contributing to calories in. And she goes, do you think I'm eating too much brown rice? But like, again, that's just carbs are the enemy. Mm-hmm. Like, you do realize like brown rice is way better for you than alcohol. You couldn't eat enough brown rice to make up the equivalent calories that you're drinking on a Saturday night. Mm-hmm. But like,
yeah, like, no, it's the brown rice.
It's hard. It's very hard to like explain to somebody who's just, that's what they've always believed, that it's what they believe.
Yeah. It's hard coded.
And like people who do keto, they do lose weight instantly. And it's like, oh, it was the brown rice. It was, you know, the sugar or the bread. Mm-hmm. I'm like, well, no, it actually wasn't the bread.
You just are no longer retaining any water in your body.
Yeah. And you're just probably eating less. Mm-hmm. So
yeah.
There are people who do keto and they don't lose weight. And it's like, I'm doing keto and I'm not losing weight. It's like, well, it's kind of like paleo. People expect to lose weight doing paleo or keto, paleo in quotes, basically cutting out processed carbs. But they end up eating like whole avocados or
6 slices of bacon.
Or they're putting butter in their coffee. And that's like, okay, you're not controlling for calories, and calories,
that's what matters.
Are what matters.
Bacon wrap dates.
Yeah. Chocolate dip bacon.
Did you ever used to have like paleo parties at your gym? Or like cookout, like like a cookout.
People would definitely always bring, like there was always some people who were doing paleo who would bring paleo
whatever
treats.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, we used to have these barbecues or potlucks, and like everything had to be paleo. And like I think back to some of what showed up, and I'm just like, number one, I'm blown away that I ever ate that way and didn't just turn into a meatball. But just like the lack of understanding about it. Like I guess if you're eating McDonald's or Hardee's every day for like 2 or 3 meals and you go to paleo, like maybe you'll lose weight, maybe you'll feel better. You probably will feel better.
Maybe at least you're eating higher quality foods.
Yeah, but calories, man, like it was so like your calories are just totally out of control.
I remember my mom made this like paleo dinner. We were having a Western Canada like like regionals girls get together, and it was in Calgary. It was hosted at the gym that I was going to, and it was awesome. There was like 12 of us, and we had some really fun training sessions. And then my mom was like, well, why don't we have everybody over for dinner? And so it was actually insane because I was kind of new to CrossFit, like newer. I had been doing it for about a year, and some of these girls ate full on paleo.
Mm-hmm.
And so my mom was all concerned about making sure the dinner was appropriate for everybody. So she bought I don't even remember how much she ended up spending on like full organic chicken. Cause that was the thing too. Like you need,
free range organic.
yeah. Like she went to the farmer's market and bought like and there's like 12 girls who eat a ton.
Mm-hmm.
She made, I think, prosciutto wrapped, cantaloupe, bacon wrapped dates, or sorry. Yeah. Bacon. Is that what it is? Bacon wrapped dates. And then sweet potato, like fries. But then I specifically remember for dessert, she made paleo brownies. And these brownies were the most delicious brownies I've ever had. They're paleo, but it's like she didn't use any flour or anything. It was like, I'm pretty sure the ingredients were like, it was chocolate, almond butter, honey, and then I don't even know what else. Maybe eggs.
If you just pause there for a second, yeah, they probably weighed like a pound a piece.
Yeah, but they were amazing.
But when you actually think about like the way that what the paleo diet is intended to be, which is don't eat anything that wasn't available to our Paleolithic ancestors. Do you think that they had the capacity to make paleo brownies with like almond flour?
Or bacon wrapped dates.
And cocoa?
Yeah.
Yeah, the cured meat involved with paleo was always a bit ironic to me. I'm like, you think that cavemen are curing meat here? They're not. Yeah, I could go on about paleo for a long time. Not the worst diet, just not the best.
But to say like we don't want to sound like we're on our high horse, like, oh, you should know this. It's like, why would you know this stuff? Like, where do you even get this information? Like, a lot of the information you get is on, from textbooks or is on NCBI website where you actually get scientific articles, peer-reviewed studies that show like this is the effect that insulin has. Like this is, like
this is how insulin
you can't
works in
even,
the body.
you cannot rely. I was writing a post on electrolytes and I was doing some research and I ended up on like a sports like information website, and I'm reading through and I'm like, okay. And then I realized like, basically like they're just selling, they were selling an electrolyte supplement. Oh yeah. And it was like, again, like you need an like no, not that many people need electrolytes.
Nope.
But they're saying like, everybody needs an electrolyte. When you sweat, you're losing valuable like potassium and sodium and all this stuff. But none of it was like based on science.
No, it's based on selling a
But
product.
you read it and it's like, it does sound like they know what they're talking about. Like they do a good job with marketing.
Yeah. So
it's pretty easy to be. I was actually on a site yesterday trying to find some pull-up progressions.
Oh, Poliquin.
And I clicked on nutrition because I was like, I've never been to this website. And I'm like, there was one article and it was how to balance your hormones with these 5 foods.
They're like the immune boosting exercises.
I know. And I was like, what? How do I not know about this? And so I'm like reading it and I'm like, Meredith, is this a thing? And she's like, laughed at me. She's like, that's clickbait. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I've never even heard of this. Like, I have a ton of people who are trying to balance their hormones. Like,
yeah,
by eating healthy, like if there's these like secret foods that help, like I gotta get them to eat that.
Let's read. So it's Charles Poliquin. He's like a Looney Tune. He's got a really good pull-up and push-up program, and that's the extent that I look at.
I mean, I looked at it and it was kind of complicated, so I was like, you know what? Never mind.
But it's free.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like if you go on his website, it's hilarious. Like featured article, the top keto supplements you need. How to reduce stress and heal the immune system. 3 workout tips for a robust immune system. How to eat for a strong immune system. Let's see. What is melatonin and why is it a deal breaker for health and performance? That might be a good read. But a lot of his stuff is just very like, it's like, he's a big hormone guy, like estrogen levels in the body, but he's a weirdo.
Anyway, I mean, I'm not an I guess I would consider myself an expert in some respects, but I don't know everything. I'm not a scientist. I'm not doing my own research. I just have experience with a lot of clients and I do a lot of reading And even I click on something like that and I'm like, this guy looks pretty legit. Like, is this a thing?
You don't have a master's degree?
I don't have a master's degree.
You have a Juris Doctor?
Yeah.
I mean, that's useful.
It's not useful for nutrition, but I'm good at reading and synthesizing information. So I'll fall back on that.
Yeah. The Jillian Michaels post from yesterday was our, like, by far, like, number one top post that we've ever put up, which is kind of cool because it sort of solidifies that the people who follow us and who believe in us are on the same page. And, like, it was, I watched some of her video about CrossFit, and it's not the first time that she's done that. It's definitely more, it's like an attention getting thing. But like the post wasn't even really about CrossFit. It was about her, like, her background with The Biggest Loser and the way that she treats people and the rhetoric that she uses. And, like, you know, but a couple of people made their way to the post, as they always do. And we're just started going on about, she makes good points about CrossFit. I'm like, hey, like, if you're here because you think that we're trying to debate CrossFit, like, you're in the wrong place.
I mean, we didn't even go into the CrossFit stuff because I'll say this, I didn't watch every single minute or every single second of that video. I kind of skipped through because I started watching it, and I think I watched the first 30 seconds, and within those first 30 seconds, she basically admitted that she doesn't really know. Like, I'm pretty sure she said, like, I'm not really sure, but this is what I think. It's like, hey, this is not worth listening to. And then, and a couple of people send it to me in DM, I think on Tactic and my personal, being like, have you seen this? And I'm like, yeah. I mean, she's an idiot. Like, I wouldn't even, if not for you saying, like, we should write a post in this way, I wasn't even going to give her the time of day. Like, I don't want to give her any airtime.
Yeah.
But I think the way that we did it highlighted that, I mean, you did.
Yeah, like, what's important about her, like, her impact is so vast, and that the show is really important because it, like, I was reading an article on Medium about it, and in people who watch the show who are normal BMI, saying, like, people like me or Alex, people who don't need to lose weight, they watch one single episode of the show and their bias against obese and overweight people increased by, like, 25%. And that's just one example of bias, of influence outside of the contestants of the show and into the audience. So you have to, like, wonder, and it's, you know, and it's been documented, the impact to people who do want to lose weight and are obese, who watch the show. They probably didn't think, oh, I can, like, I'll just do that. Like, that worked. Not to mention, like, all of the show, like, a lot of these show contestants are kind of speaking out now. They made them, like, they had to sign NDAs, which I think is crazy.
It just goes to show.
Like, we had, there was 2 contestants in Raleigh, back when I was living in North Carolina, and they went off the show, but, like, you had to go home and do your own thing, and you come back for the finale or whatever. And so they showed up at CrossFit RDU, and it was when I was managing that gym, and they said, like, they explained their situation. We were on The Biggest Loser. We're at home for 2 or 3 months. We're supposed to do our own exercise and try to continue to lose weight. We want to do CrossFit at your gym. We can't advertise it. We have to pretend like we're training at Planet Fitness. And so they came in or whatever, did that. They were so terrified of doing any amount of strength training because they were afraid that they would gain weight and muscle. And they knew that.
Yeah, because the whole point of the show is the scale. It's not like having a healthy BMI or, like, you know, body composition. It's like, what does the number on the scale say? So
they basically spent about a month being super freaked out by the exercises that we were programming and having people do, convinced that they were going to gain muscle mass. And then, like, I think the producers were also pressuring them to actually go to Planet Fitness and exercise. So they ended up leaving.
So I think the post spoke out, not necessarily specifically about her video, because people were on, there was a few negative comments saying, like, well, you just stated that you didn't even watch the whole video, so how can you sit there and say that you know everything about what she said? Like, we weren't really speaking to the points about her speaking to the specific points in her video.
Right.
We were speaking to her, what she stands for.
As a person,
as a representative of the fitness community, as a representative of, like, gay trainers in this industry. Like, like you said in the post, like, I did look up to her.
I'm pretty sure I have one of her books.
And I'm like, now it's like, it is disappointing.
Yeah.
because a lot of it is just for fame and fortune.
And that's kind of like, the post was kind of like, you know, I'm not mad. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm just disappointed in you.
Yeah. And I don't think we can just sit there silently and be like, yeah, whatever. Just keep spewing that stuff to people and confusing them and making them frustrated and continue to fail at these
their endeavors,
practices that you're suggesting.
Yeah, and it's a lot of people, like a lot of other pages were posting like funny videos of her doing ridiculous exercises as like, well, what are you talking about? You care about people's safety. And it's like the impact of that is limited. Like, it's funny, I guess, to laugh at, but like, what is that actually accomplishing? Like, say what you want, figure out how to say what you actually feel and say it. And so that's, I kind of like, I saw a few of those videos and I was like, hey, how can we have a little bit more like impact and get this to hit home with people or understand? Like, it's not, Jillian Michaels isn't causing any harm by bashing CrossFit. If anything, it just makes people more like solidified in their decision to do CrossFit. Like,
well, I think you can deter people from CrossFit. Like, think about it.
Yeah, I guess.
If somebody's on the fence, which a lot of people are, and people already have this view of it as what you see on Netflix, which is the CrossFit Games, like, yeah, it looks dangerous.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you're watching like guys who are snatching 300 pounds, like dropping it almost on their heads. Like, yeah, that's going to happen in competition. But you don't see like alpine ski racing in the Olympics and you're like, I'm never going to ski because look at how dangerous that looks. Like, okay, well, you're not going to be doing that if you go skiing. It's just like if you show up at a CrossFit gym as a novice, you're not going to be lifting 300 pounds and crashing and burning like that. Like, you're just not.
Yeah.
Because it's impossible. You couldn't even lift that off the floor if you tried.
You get a PVC pipe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think what is damaging is that she is discrediting not just a community, but any fitness that has done good for a lot of people. And I don't think what we wanted to do was get on there and be like, oh, well, you do stupid kettlebell swings or you do stupid, little workouts. Like, you're like, what she does is probably a lot better than somebody sitting on the couch. Yeah. It was more speaking to, like, in other ways, your extremism in some respects, especially when it comes to diet and weight loss and, what she's done in the past is something to, like, we are discrediting her to some extent in terms of her statements about CrossFit.
Yeah, it's more about like how she treats people. Yeah, I don't really I don't care about exercise. Like, if Zumba's your thing, do that. If Jillian Michaels workout DVDs are your thing, like, do that.
I tried Zumba once.
It's actually kind of hard.
It's so hard. It was pathetic. I'm like, can I leave? Yeah. I couldn't keep up.
But like any of that is better than nothing, which is kind of, I think I said that at the beginning. Like I'm willing to stand with anyone who believes in fitness of any kind. And I'm not going to get nitty about what you're doing or if it's the best or if there's danger or whatever. Most people understand that there are dangers involved with certain things like skiing, which is by the numbers significantly more dangerous than CrossFit. But Jillian Michaels didn't make a video about skiing.
It's like you see, yeah. I mean, you could make an argument for any sport. And actually, if you look at Olympic weightlifting, because she talks about that, and you say like, oh, like that sport is only for Olympians or for experts. Well, like, how did that person become an expert?
Yeah, it's
like they started as a novice. Like,
kind of an idiotic thing
they
to
may
say.
have been somebody who walked into an Olympic weightlifting gym or a CrossFit gym like 10 years ago and was like, hey, what's going on in here? Can I try? Yeah. And now they're Olympic athletes. So like,
I think you lose, like, people like Jillian lose touch with that whole process because it's probably been so long since she's even since she's done a sport or even tried to improve in a specific skill. So you lose touch with what it feels like or what it feels like to be a novice in something and then work at it and work progressions and become an intermediate at it and work progressions and like make it more difficult until you are advanced or elite. Like, it's part of the, describe elite fitness in 100 words is regularly learn and play new sports. And I think that's important because it keeps us in touch with how progressive sport is and fitness. And it allows your brain to comprehend, like, you can be a beginner and then you can become elite.
I don't need to bolster CrossFit and probably a lot of our listeners' eyes, but how often do you walk into a CrossFit gym and you hear, like, actually, do you hear, I'm doing pull-ups to tone my arms, or I want to, or, you know, you don't even hear, like, I don't want to get, you know, too bulky. Like, you don't hear a lot about appearance in a CrossFit gym. You hear a lot about, like, I want to do more pull-ups because I want to get strong, or I want to be able to do a strict pull-up, or I want to do a muscle up. I really want, I'm doing these workouts because I want to be healthy. But, like, and I, like, again, I don't want to throw other fitness workouts or, like, fitness programs under the bus, but, like, it's not always about, like, you know, having toned arms. It can be about just feeling really strong. Yeah. Setting a good example for your kids, like being able to lift your kids up. Mm-hmm. And as much as I know that she's just, like, trying to get attention, probably it does suck when somebody's trying to throw a really great, it's changed my life. For many reasons, not just because I got stronger and, like, healthier probably, but, like, it's changed my life. My confidence is high. Like, I met so many cool people.
Oh, I mean, I would, like, it changed the whole trajectory of my life. Like, I don't know if I would have ever, like, come out as gay without CrossFit. I don't know, like, I don't know what my life would be. I kind of feel like it'd probably be white picket fence with kids and, like, station wagon at this point. So, like, I am eternally grateful to CrossFit for what it's done for me. It saved my life, like, straight up saved it. Yeah. So, like, it's, I will defend it. It's a hill that I'm, like, I'm willing and ready to die on. And, like, you know, it wasn't the point of our post, and I'm not, like, I don't want to fight with her about it or fight with the people who believe in her or agree with her. Like, it is what it is to me. It's very important. And, like, I think that it can change lives. Mm-hmm. And needs to be, like, given an opportunity to do that.
Yeah, I agree.
So, I don't know. We kind of went on a little Jillian tangent there.
Yeah.
But it's kind of to say, like, that, you know, the diet industry, the nutrition industry is changing slowly. I think that there are some really positive influences out there and positive voices. It's just, it's going to take a long time, I think, to get ourselves away from what has been the case and reality for 20, 30, 40 years, which is just kind of like misinformation, pseudoscience. It's the basics, man. Do the basics. Do them really well. Do them for a long time. You don't need to buy a special program. All you need is a little bit of accountability and direction at the start. And then once you do it, it starts to feel easier and really good. And that's it. That's all you got to do.
Yep. Yeah, I think I've told this story on the podcast just to wrap things up. But when we send out our nutrition plans, it's got a lot of, like, information on the basics and kind of how to implement them. And then you get the same plan if you get coaching. It just turns into coaching, and we help you implement that stuff. If you just get the one-time plan, you just get the plan and you kind of go off on your own. So one guy bought just the plan, and I'm like, all right. So he wanted to lose weight, just like typical CrossFitter, just like recreational, but, like, wanted to lose weight and get healthier and feel better. I think it was like he wanted to perform better and lose weight. Pretty classic. So I sent him our plan, and it had, like, his macros and, like, recommendations for his lifestyle. Like, basically, you know, you're only sleeping 7 hours or 6 hours. Like, you need to sleep 8. You're not drinking any water. You're drinking 8. Like, just basically, like, I would suggest drinking 3 beers instead of 8 throughout the week. That will help. It was very basic, but the basics are what work. And he sends back this long email, and he was so upset. And he's like, I can't believe that you charge money for this. This is the same thing that every, like, nutritionist and trainer and fitness person has ever told me. And I'm like,
did you ever do those things?
I'm like, but okay, like, that's because that's what you need to do to get the results that you want. Like, we have so many data points for the people who do this stuff. They will progress towards the goals that happen to be the same goals that you have. Mm-hmm. I'm like, please, like, do this for, like, 30 to 90 days and then reach back out to me. Like, he never responded.
Yeah.
But in the nicest way I could, I'm like, yeah, like,
it's because the basics work.
This is actually priceless information if you put it to practice. Yeah. This will change your life. Like, it seems simple, but, like, this is, I'm not going to tell you to take a fat burning pill because they don't work.
Yeah.
But like, that's what people want to hear. Yeah, just take this pill and you'll get what you want.
Yeah. The other day, someone I work with 101, it's been a month or two maybe, and he sent a message. He's like, I'm amazed at how well the initial macros that you sent me are working. And because usually I send them with a disclaimer of like, this is the start based on the information that you provided, and we'll modify as we go, or I'll tinker. Like I just need a place to start. And I was like, yeah, and it's what I said to him. It's like, we have so many data points. We have so many people that we've helped and worked with that like, when I see someone come across my desk, like through the intake, like I can read through and just kind of like immediately go in my head, like, yeah, this is like just my gut instinct has gotten so much more accurate, and yours has too, which is pretty cool. Because I think ultimately, if you can, like, the less tinkering you do with someone, the better, because I don't like giving people the impression that you need to constantly be like every week tinkering and changing macros, because you don't. Like, you're not that precise anyways. So let's be realistic here. Anyways, yeah, that went a little bit longer than I thought it would. So let's wrap her up, shall we? Any closing remarks from Alex or Ivy?
No, I mean, I hope we weren't too negative about Jillian Michaels. She's going to do what she does, but we want to do what we do. Yeah. And that's like, we care about people and we care about what information they're digesting, and we want to help people. So we're going to continue to call it out how we see it.
Yeah. She really teed that one up for us, which never hurts. But yeah, anyways, if you want more information about what we do specifically, feel free to message us or check out our website, which is tacticmethod.com. It's got all the details and information you probably need. And if you still have questions, we are very responsive on all of our channels and would love to chat with you about what you have going on and what you want to accomplish. Or if you have questions about what exactly it is that we do. So thank you for listening. We hope that you're having a great week and continue to have a great week. For those of you still participating in the Tactic Advent Calendar Challenge, we see you. We're really excited that the buy-in's been really good. And remember that the 12 days of Tactic are coming up, and we'll have some giveaways going. So we're seeing who's posting. We're paying attention. Keep that up. We're excited for the last 12 days. So signing off. We'll talk to you guys later.